Hi, friends. Welcome to another episode of Soaring Through Chaos. And it's always a joy to be able to share my friends with you. These are people I've met over the years and I've learned so much from them. And we are now in the midst of the pandemic, so I don't get to see them face to face. So I decided why not talk to them online through Zoom and find out what they're doing, how they're doing it. There are challenges everywhere, whether it is in schools and colleges, at home, the doctors. So with me is an amazing educator. I got to know earlier this year, Dr. Vinay Purani, and he was the Joint Secretary of Education for the state of Gujarat, one of the top three states in India in terms of prosperity as well as education. And Dr. Purani is a very interesting person. Initially, I mean, he could have just stayed a bureaucrat because he was in a very cushy job. But he has this dedication that he wants to do things for rural children and all that. And so he joined as the principal or the head of a university. Please tell us about yourself, sir. It was such an amazing thing to come to Valsad and to be at your university a few months ago. So tell us how you decided and what brought you to Valsad after your job as the Undersecretary of Education or the Joint Director of Education for the state of Gujarat.
Shankarji, thank you so much. First of all, my many compliments to you and every one of the person who are viewing our or later viewing our this recording. Today is a very divine, auspicious day of Rakhi, Raksha Bandhan, and we all have this protection guaranteed by our sisters that can make all direction protection to the brother. So it is this divine day, and I'm so happy to have this conversation with you. You have very rightly said, sir. It is my 30th year in technical education, and out of 30th year, I put around 14 years in hardcore administration. That was in technical education department, government of Gujarat. So our technical education department is taking care of all needs of technical education. Those students are taking admission in engineering education, where it is centrally governed by Commissionerate of Technical Education, and we have a cadre post over there. So first 7 years I was there as a deputy director, which was equivalent to the post of associate professor. And when I got the promotion as a professor, I again placed there as a joint director, and there also I served around 7 years. And you said rightly, I am at present, since it is 1 year is over, I am at Government Engineering College, which is one of the premier degree engineering college in the South Gujarat region in the state of Gujarat. So it is really a marvelous journey. I feel myself in a very great profession of engineering education, and taking new challenges now as a head of institutes, as a head of college, to take care of about 100 faculties and around 2000 students. So this is what is we are going to discuss today, and I am really fortunate to have you. Thanks to that Almighty that it was all happened just before this pandemic. Before the pandemic, I was able to meet you and was able to invite you at my place. It was nothing less than a dream comes true, sir.
It was literally, we met 1 week or 2 weeks before the pandemic started. And then a month later, there was a complete lockdown. And I was actually stuck in Mexico for 3 months, which was good, but away from the country even. So the timing was just perfect. That the Valsad was the last college that I was at before I said, okay, I want to go see my friends in North America, and then everything shifted. So what brought you into education, and particularly into, you seem to have worked in many places. But what I find amazing about you, Vinay Bhai, is that you seem to be dedicated to education reform, to actually see it happen, that every child, no matter how much money they have, how many difficulties they have, I've seen your dedication to making sure that every child gets good education. Tell me what inspired you. Was there something in your life that brought you to this juncture in your career?
Sir, actually, it begins 30 years before when we all were struggling. I have basically a rural background, and it was the only our aim to get a well-placed career. Engineering admission was a great admiration those days. But after passing from MS University, Faculty of Technology and Engineering, we all were working to get placed at some better location, better profession. So many from our class are placed at different places. Few are became IS officers, few became executive chief engineers. At present, all government chief engineers, almost all, they are our batchmates, our classmates. Many superintending engineers in across the state in government job, some are big builders and all. So somewhere I feel myself that my destiny was there to drive me. I was in my first job was with a multinational company, that is PKPH NKK Toyo, that was for the HPG gas pipeline project. But though it was considered one of the best placement, but I was looking for something different, that what actually was driving me. And in my first attempt, I got selected on temporary basis at the premier college, LD Engineering College in Ahmedabad. And from that journey started. And it was the kind of profession where I was feeling myself that I am carrying the job of making career of the students. So today I feel by making career of the students, my career build. That is what one very simple I can translate, that by building career of the students, I see that my career get built upon. I just entered with bachelor degree qualification. Throughout this years of my profession, I able to get learning from the great gurus and got all sort of favor which I never think of. I never think of for the personal benefit that where should I get this opportunity or that. Every stage I found that someone picked up my hand and put me at the place where I really feel deserve, or I really feel to be there. So this is what is a story began, and I never looked. Many colleagues, though joined after the profession, they look forward to different better position. I never looked forward. That once I settled in year 1990, I thought this is what is the place where I should work, and I was thinking it is I can have this lifetime opportunity to work throughout this. Many have left. Many from us, those who have joined, they take different exams, competitive exams, went to the profession. Many went abroad, USA and all. We were also having those opportunity, but it was a time we all aware of that what was those days, and it was somewhere we settled and simply take up that how we can become helpful. So entire universe become helpful to me. That is what I felt.
In fact, I had the opportunity to meet your one of your mentors, Dr. Hasmukh Bhai Trivedi, Dr. H.V. Trivedi, and I met him through a series of coincidences while walking early morning in Kamadi Bagh, which is close to MSU Baroda, where you studied, which is your alma mater. What was interesting was the dedication with which Dr. Trivedi, was in education. I see that reflected in many of his, the people who worked with him, including you. And it's because of you that India is progressing in terms of education. People like me conveniently left and did work abroad in different ways and are now coming back with the hope of helping. But I see so much dedication. It's people like you where actually every single day you're with students, and every single day you're looking at the challenges faced by the students. So besides the actual education itself, are there other challenges that students in rural places face? Because you have experienced it at your time, some 30 years ago, and now you're dealing with young students in the villages around Valsad, the villages of South Gujarat. Are there special challenges that these students face that, say, Ahmedabad, Gandhinagar, the big cities don't face?
True, sir. That is actually, you know, how he introduced you. We regularly talk to each other, and will definitely would like to share my feelings and the role of Dr. Trivedi, not only in making me or bringing me up to this level, but his contribution to the entire state of Gujarat. Will definitely share my views on that. But he was my professor. Then he became my head of department. Then he became my principal. So I recently told him that, sir, you were always find very difficult. You are a difficult teacher. You are a difficult boss. Head, you are a difficult principal to work with. But every time, in spite, you make us so much put ourselves into the bunch of difficulties, struggles to work hard. We never found that something what you say is anything we should miss to do that. So he introduced me that what we are doing, what you have done, your 5-6 months is over at college, and he used to take a stock that what he is doing, and I was carrying bunch of issues just to post on him that something days are changed. I was away from the academic. I was doing hardcore administration for technical education, but dealing with students, direct dealing with teachers was not happened. I was a joint director, so I was to take direction from the commissioner and secretaries and minister and all. But here I was a director. I am director of the institute where I have to give direction, not only to the students, but to the teachers and all the system. So I was in the beginning for a couple of the months, it was a bit difficult that how to manage to handle 2000 young brain and of course, to channelize their energy. So Dr. Trivedi is the great source of my inspiration. So he asked me that how many people you are inviting to address your teacher and all. So he narrated about you for about 5-10 minutes that I met him, how he met him, and how you happen to be India. Then I looked your profile in LinkedIn, and it was I can with true respect I can say it was too good to believe that I can talk to you and I can invite to you after seeing your profile, because it was never happened at Valsad. It was even not happened in many of such remote place colleges. Few of our colleges in Ahmedabad and Gandhinagar, they are in the prime location. It is comfortable for educators and industrialists to visit and to participate, but it is almost nil. So I remember, sir, वो तो कैसे होगा? How can I invite him? तो उन्होंने बोला कि वो मनाई करेंगे ना. If you can say, he will say no. What will happen? Why don't you try? So that was his introduction to me about you. And then I was feeling that consciously that is there my institute is really can invite you, because somewhere the student and teachers and they are of course doing quite well, but it is a kind of point where we look forward to become or add the best practices, which was unfortunately was little slow in the place like this. So I immediately started making my mind to invite you and to make, and I can share with you, sir, today your name is frequently coming in any conversation when we are making for our institute, that if Shankar ji is able to come to our place, students are remembering you like anything कि सर हम लोगों को इतना मजा आया, इतना मजा आया, और it was our कैसे बन गया सर, वो भी मुझे भी पता नहीं चला कि every branch I was able to associate with you and they all carrying the great memory to be with you for a whole day.
Well, honestly, I have to say, I felt likewise. I must have gone to about more than 50 colleges, universities all around India. And the biggest ones, like the IITs, they get people from literally around the world, like the CEO of Microsoft and the CEO of Google and all, they come and address. So for them, seeing a Shankar is not a big deal at all. But to me, I was looking for places where students are serious, that students are curious. And I think the way Dr. Trivedi has trained you and trained all his prodigies, you have instilled that curiosity in students. When I was so amazed when I came to Valsad, and every single student was interested in learning. And as you
Yes.
said, Valsad probably doesn't get many people from outside, but I've seen that among rural students. I used to live 50 kilometers outside Bombay, by the way. And in those days, if you remember in the 1970s, 50 kilometers outside Bombay was a small village. I was in
Yes.
Dombivli, which is in Thana district. Today it's a part of Bombay, but in those days, Dombivli was a small village. There were like 10,000 people. And Valsad is much bigger actually. Now Valsad has what, 200,000 people.
Yeah.
But in those days, we used to look forward. I remember Sunil Gavaskar came one time. We were all excited, like the number one cricket player of our time. He came and there was a Bonvita quiz contest. 3 hours, every student was watching Sunil Gavaskar, like God had come down. So I know the feeling. But to me, the most gratifying thing was not feeling like a celebrity, but every student taking everything seriously and learning. And unfortunately, that doesn't happen in many schools and colleges. So you have, for sure, you have created that environment. I know Dr. H.V. Trivedi, your mentor, created that environment at LD College of Engineering, later at Derma. So my question to you is, how are you able to create this? Because your students come from various backgrounds, all the way from cities like Surat to small villages, tribal villages also. How are you able to get these students so excited about education and so focused on learning? Because it's not common, honestly. It's not that common in India or anywhere in the world. So you must be doing some magic, and I want to know that.
Yeah, true, sir. Actually, sir, during my tenure in administration, I learned two, three things during my working with one World Bank project. That what is the governance of technical education in India? That was one very good paper written by Sir Andrews Block, and that was on exactly on the topic of the governance of technical education in India, and it was in that one brand program of education department, which was MHRD. That is a technical education quality improvement program, wherein, sir, we learned that somewhere we have to support the weak student, support to the community, and adopt the best practices. It is a very scientifically designed program. So somewhere we try to cultivate this culture in our state colleges. We have only 16 colleges in the state run by the state government. Rest all are private. So when I joined, I was observing for first 2 months that what is the scenario, how students are commuting. So I started taking interest into the students. And you see here in our country, in our state, there are all somewhere that student unions and other things are also there. But once they realize that this principle is something a different type, so I started taking interest that where students are eating. Say, sir, I have seen students are becoming so sometimes conservative. They are coming from the background. They are bright, but I found that there is somewhere need of hand holding. So I can go sometime early in the morning to the hostel. I can stay in the campus up to late evening, late hours. And I used to see where students are going, where they are eating. So I concentrated on three things in the beginning. One is the library, second is the hostel, and third is the about canteen and mess. So this was the three basic things, and it is surprise, sir. It was something kind of they were depriving of. Library was closed for 2 months. I was asking somebody, is a librarian hai nahi? A librarian nahi hai in government, we cannot put someone on job. Then water purifier was there, but it was newly was there, but it was not put up in place. There was no food facility. Girls students, 2 girls hostel, 2 boys hostel. We have large campus. So girls and boys, I asked them that where you are going, what you are taking breakfast in the morning. So it was all came automatically in my mind. तो सुबह में मैंने बच्चों को पूछा कि आप लोग चाय पीते हो, कौन से कप में पीते हो? They were used to take in that plastic cup. So it was that intervention that why you use plastic cup, what makes not to use those glass cup. ये छोटी बात है सर, though it is very simple thing. But and I asked you that tiffin कहाँ से लाते हो? How much you are paying for the tiffin? In one tiffin, how many students are eating? Many students say, sir, we are taking breakfast in the morning and we usually take dinner only. We don't take lunch. In the morning, we take tea and breakfast. So there, somewhere I connect myself that it is not something students don't like eating full stomach. But there was no food facility. Mess was not running, sir. Students was to commute. 50% students are commuting. Train connectivity at Valsad is amazing. Every 10-15 minutes there is one train is coming. So students are very comfortable. They used to come travel right from Surat and this side from Vapi and all. So in the morning, it is a kind of race. All auto rickshaw can fill 5-6 students and they simply drop. So I thought that students are taking this much struggle come to this place. It is my role that I should make their day. कि आज इतनी स्ट्रगल करके ट्रेन में उतर के रिक्शा में आए रिक्शा आफ्टर गेटिंग इनटू ड्रॉपिंग फ्रॉम रिक्शा व्हेन दे आर गोइंग टू क्लास एंड व्हेन दे गो बैक देयर शुड बी अ सब्सटेंशियल टेकिंग अवे मस्ट हैपन टू द स्टूडेंट्स सो दिस वाज द पॉइंट सो वी स्टार्टेड वर्किंग ऑन इट वी आइडेंटिफाइड सम वीक स्टूडेंट्स दैट इट वाज रियली हेल्प्ड अस कि वीक स्टूडेंट का एक प्रोग्राम होता है सर बट इट इज हैपनिंग जस्ट इन अ काइंड ऑफ right students are taking care by themselves. Parents bhi nahi dete. Parents can also shout on their child ki tu fail hua, you have etiquette or something. No one is hand holding the big students, and we also don't hand hold ki aapko block aa gaya, etiquette aa gaya, now it is your responsibility, you study yourself, whether you pass it is your fortune, if you fail it is your fortune. So there when we started holding hand of the students, subject wise humne nikal diya who are the weak in each subject. हर एक डिसिप्लिन में about 20 सब्जेक्ट्स होते हैं. 4 सेमेस्टर चलता है, फर्स्ट सेमेस्टर, थर्ड सेमेस्टर, फिफ्थ सेमेस्टर, सेवंथ सेमेस्टर. So in 4 semester 5 subjects per semester, so 20 subjects. So each of these subjects में how many students are weak? So we identified 2 groups. One is the student having block etiquette, they failed, and some students though they get some good mark but they want that our performance was below our expectation, so that is second group. And that was the first point what we addressed in the campus. Second, we make it was the first time, sir, just in the December November or December we started serving food in the hostel. Started with the girls hostel. So girls become so happy कि सर हम लोगों को कभी hostel में mess में खाना नहीं मिला. So it was nothing, something they got, or I think anything we did, anything different, but it was there. And third was the library, sir. Library, I feel it is a very significant resource point, epicenter for the students' development. And the closed door I have these photographs with me that was the closed door with several such posts pasted on that, which was removed. Water purifier was placed. Environment department certified that you are drinking clean water with the photograph of drinking of that water by the principal. And that book transaction was 0. It reached up to 150 during a day, sir. So, and it was something in our scenario, say you being, I may not understand how it happened, but it is a common scenario. Students are now in this days reading standard textbook is reducing every day. हम लोग जो standard textbook पढ़ते थे, now they are using some exam oriented study the moment they finish because they have lots of other options. So these were the 3 points: library, maths, and support to the weak students. Students को पता चल गया कि यहाँ पर हमारा hand hold हो रहा है. And later sir, अभी हमने एक बहुत अच्छा वो शुरू किया है. I will share this web credential to you that it is a self-learning cell. So that SLC is the kind of the place I want to teach and I want to learn. If one student good in teaching mathematics, he can enroll himself that I am this students, I can teach the mathematics. Someone want to teach yoga, someone want to teach guitar, someone want to teach physics, engineering. Sir, you may not believe we have such a great index of delivery and the reading. So learning triangle, what we understand that if student, we connect with the student, and I put one formula. If those students are coming in the, say in other foreign countries, students are given some incentive if they coming in use of the institute, but we do not have such system, kind of teaching assistantship or teaching fellow or research assistants. Such kind of scheme is not available. So as a head of institute, I have some privilege. If this student is coming, they are sparing their time to help their students only. फाइनल ईयर का बच्चा है, उसका प्री फाइनल ईयर वाले बच्चों को कुछ बाबत पे ट्रेन करता है, हम लोगों ने we put those points कि आपको क्या पढ़ाना है. It is one of the best response what we have received on online platform today.
I can tell you one thing. There was teaching assistantships available when I was a student, and it was still fairly new when I was at IIT. And among many students, I taught computer science in my final year. When I was in my final year for the first year students, and you won't believe it. Fortran, if you remember in those days, I'm talking about early 1980s. Fortran was already there, and Pascal had started. C and Pascal, you know, the third generation languages, fourth generation languages were just starting. And students were so interested in learning. I thought, why not teach in the hostel? Because hostel is free, right? You can do what you want. So I started teaching some extra lessons in the hostel. And the person who organized the class, because I said, I don't want to do the logistics. You come together and I'll teach. And I did maybe 10 classes. It wasn't much. The person who organized this class so that they could learn a little more advanced, a little bit about AI. This is early, mid 80s, like artificial intelligence was very new. Computer-based learning was new. His name is Rajesh Jain. He ended up starting a company called Cricinfo, the cricket info, the first cricket portal of India. And his company was bought by Satyam Infoway in those days, early 2000s, for like a few $100 million. And it's so satisfying that you can see that this childlike curiosity these young people have, how much it changes their lives. I didn't do anything as big or spectacular as Rajesh, but many of those students, they still remember that Shankar was offering classes in the hostel. I mean, it was just a fun thing for me because I was like, these kids are very curious. And I'm so glad you've done that, given them that opportunity to learn from each other. Because when some older person is putting some pressure on them, they don't always enjoy it. But if their own classmate or somebody senior to them is teaching them, then it's fun. They can joke around, they can play. I'm so glad you've done that. And it is so necessary to do that. And so my question is, having done all these things, what about COVID? Now that we are in the middle of this pandemic, a lot of things have changed. How has student life changed in Valsad? And do you see any opportunities arising because of that?
Sir, actually, we have started working, and students are still at home. We are still, institute is not open for the students. So it is our double responsibility to engage the students and also to keep students alive, because after staying at home, such energetic young generation, there is a different kind of their frustration. So we started, and see, actually it is we almost put ourselves in a new normal. We have started, I made a commitment with all my teachers that we should start hand-holding with the students for about 2 hours a day, not more than that. During this peak period, during this pandemic, which we all carrying lots of fear in March and April, end of March, April and May, rather I can say. So April, May was something very serious. We were also not knowing when this class will resume. We were cut off in between the term. Term was in the full-fledged, and all of a sudden it was closed down. So we started taking them on a Zoom platform initially, and somewhere in the Google Meet and all. But it was all regarding our academic as well as their assignment solution and all. So it was decided to give a merit-based progression MP for except terminal year, final year. So first year, second year, and third year students are given merit-based progression. So we gave them the assignment. We give them assignment, and in between we develop in-house our portal that teacher can upload under my upload section, which can give a quiz, which can give everything what is possible using this technology, and students can directly submit that to that particular teacher. So that was what we made, and we clear all students with different grades as per their submission. Hand-holding video conferencing was happened about 2 hours a day during those pandemic, and we make them all passed with the basis on the merit-based progression. We took into account their previous year result also. Final year exam was not happened, so we completed total curriculum of the final year, and this final year examination began from last Friday. Last Friday was the first paper of final year examination. We are having 3 options. One is online, second is offline, and the students, those who are not appearing in online and offline, they will have a third choice, that will be offline. So online examination is going on at present. Master degree online examination is over, and it is undergraduate programs are now running. But the major mass of the students, major number of the students are first, second, and third year. So their classes we have started taking on Zoom. Sorry, Microsoft Teams. So our education department has tie-up with the Microsoft, and we made all the virtual classes. Every subject there is one virtual class, and we enrolled our students. So it becomes so simple. I am taking every day one lecture. So if my lecture is starting at 10:45, So at 10:45 when I joined the class, 50 students out of 70 must have joined. और 10 minute के अंदर all class except few those who are having some connectivity issues or other things. Otherwise, we get the full of the class in the day, and it is something from student angle also. Everyone may not have laptop or a desktop or a big screen. So I advise them to be too frank to each other. 3-4 दोस्त अच्छे मिलके एक जगह पे बैठे, and they can take this regular class on a big screen if possible. Just to stare on the mobile continuously for 3-4 lectures would be difficult. That is what we are receiving concern from the student. But 6 weeks are over. हम लोगों ने चालू करने के बाद 6 वीक हो गए पढ़ाई के, और 6 वीक में there is a significant improvement in the reception by the students. We are getting queries, we are getting in whatever we'll teach. That video record is a very great app, Microsoft Teams, if you can just explore. So everything is now made available, whatever we deliver the lecture. So for teacher also, it becomes very interesting if we are going to a class and deliver a lecture, and to deliver on screen, on through laptop, we required more preparation. We required to prepare such content which cannot be less standard than anyone else. So that is what we are now get through, settled, and I hope students are also now very comfortable. Sometimes they feel their data and other things. So we have to make them कि बेटा आप लोग कॉलेज में आते हो, 20-25 रुपए खर्च ऐसे ही होता है, आप रिक्शा पकड़ के आते हो, बाइक लेके आते हो, कार में आते हो, तो आपके लिए अब डेटा का एक लाइफ में आ ही गया है. तो यू आस्क योर पेरेंट्स टू गिव सम सपोर्ट, और आप लोग अच्छी तरह ये उसका यूज करिए. अभी मुझे लगता नहीं है कि इन नेक्स्ट few months will be able to have direct teaching possible.
Yeah, in fact, one of the things I found unique about Valsad, the government engineering college, was that you had started many other programs also. I remember you had a symposium where the industry people came and met with students face to face, and the students got a chance to see all the availability of jobs, companies around. That was one I noticed, and the other was that. Basically, you are finding ways to engage students from a career perspective, above and beyond just education. Like, where do they want to go? What do they want to do? I remember there's even an IEEE cell where students are all discussing career things, which is where I came and gave a talk, which is where I did the workshops. So are those things continuing, or what is the plan? Because it's so much harder to organize those things, but I'm sure the students were learning so much from these things.
Yes, sir. Actually, thinking to have industry connection with our institute. So we set up IAB, Industry Advisory Board, in all the departments. It was just 6 months before, and we selected or invited, requested all nearby stalwart industries to become the advisory board, and then we invite them to interact with our students. How is their opportunity in that particular domain? Even in this pandemic, sir, many my departments are, because see, sir, at one point of time, if we keep teaching and teaching and teaching, students can also get bored sometimes. If we teach only one subject and then second subject and all, it is not a classroom. So in between, we are inviting the industries experts. We are organizing them. They will be at their place. It is very convenient that whatever is our class today, we induct our such industrial person and to make them to talk to the students. So there are new change of jobs are coming. in a way students have to be prepared for the new job sectors. Traditional job sectors may get vanished. Which are those job sectors students must understand कि भी अब लोग ये पढ़ रहे हैं लेकिन आगे वाले समय में job opportunities or career opportunities are like this. So these things we are doing quite aggressively. And हम लोग sir, which something which I feel that हम लोगों ने startup का एक initiative लिया था when I was there at Commissionerate. It was my last initiative being a joint director there to write that policy for student startup and innovation policy, which is a policy of the state run in the engineering colleges and all other colleges also. So there, abhi sir Atmanirbhar bhi aaya hai, and at the same time productivity is also becoming a crucial role into it. So what we are making to take benefit of it, that how our students can really become a job creator rather than the job seeker. So we try to change the definition of the placement. The company which is coming to a campus and hiring the talent, that is one scenario, it is okay. But beyond that, sir, there are three other options. We are pushing the biodata of our students to the big companies on that portal. So it is what we started. I think we are the beginner into it, that institute-driven process. We invite the companies. It is okay. That was a great placement camp happened in my institute. I can just share, or in my newsletter it is there. 120 companies came in a single day, sir. 120 company came in one day. It was a 2 days camp we kept, and we worked for about 2 months. It was in the last week of February, and it was a great success. But beyond that, how we inspire students to study further, so that is also a placement if they are going in higher study. If we make them to place, many companies are making, they are not coming to the place like Valsad. बड़ी कंपनियां हमारे यहाँ पर आती नहीं है. So if they don't come, we are going there. We are going there and carrying our students' profile biodata. That is the third way of placement. And fourth way is making them self-reliant, Atmanirbhar, by becoming a entrepreneur. और सर छोटी-छोटी टेक्निक हम लोग, मैं कल I had a talk with about 2 hours with my students. आप लोग क्या कर सकते हो? से कि एक मुझे सर एक एग्जांपल ऐसा माइंड में आया कि मेरा बेटा छोटा है, आप जानते हो, तो उसने मुझे बोला कि मुझे 10 रुपया चाहिए. इट इज अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग, आई जस्ट से इन 1 मिनट. तो मैंने बोला 10 रुपया क्यों चाहिए? तो ही वाज प्लेइंग वन वीडियो गेम that is where he may not allow to take the clothes he want to wear, right? So if he pay 10 rupees online, then he may choose the clothes what he want to put on. अब ये it was not a matter, but I give me one clue that एक गेम का किसी ने ऐप बनाया और उसमें आपको जो अच्छे क्लोथ पहनने हैं, if you want to put up a good cloth of the warrior in the fighting game, you have to pay 10 rupees. So I asked my teacher, can we make some small Excel sheet which take care of, say you are a civil engineer, then you take dimension of the building, dimension of the beam and column and slab, estimate what is the shear force coming, what is the bending moment coming, and simply ensure that whether this column is safe against earthquake or not, and put it in the public domain, put it on our portal, that come and check your column whether it is an earthquake resistance or not, just by 10 rupees. Can it not be taken by the society? Can it not be a good project? Similar, sir, we prepared the list of such programs. That if you have a plan, if you have a plan of a building, your plot of 15 meter by 10 meter or 200 square yard is the plot, I can suggest you a different option. You give me that which kind of kitchen you want, what you want, big kitchen and small drawing room, or a big drawing room and bedroom. So you can be given multiple options. So these are the several number of enlisted titles. We put it in a platter and give it to the students, that you pick it up and prepared some small activities during this lockdown, so that you can get this platform. If they can go alone, it will be difficult for them. But if we hold them and put it on our platform, that this is what is the product developed by our students, somewhere it may be useful to them. And if we endorse them, it will be their examination, their exam projects. If otherwise, our projects are something what they prepare. It is a compilation of different resources. Everything what students should work should be useful. Until now, we all did all parametric study, comparison, case studies and all, but nothing was converted into the utility. Something which is useful, that can only be the projects, and something when we sign, it's a student examination. No one can stop doing this kind of small events. So this is what we have started doing during this pandemic. कि आप लोग ये सब करो, जो भी आपको लगे, कुछ भी लगे। सर सिंपल है, आयुष मंत्रालय ने 6 गाइडलाइन दिया है, 6 गाइडलाइंस आर गिवन. आयुर्वेद, होम्योपैथ, उनानी, then yoga, then naturopathy, and 6th one, there are 6 guidelines are there.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
everywhere there is
yoga. Yoga is the 6th one.
Yoga, yoga.
Ayurved,
So
yoga, Unani. Yeah. I actually was talking
yoga,
about
Unani, Ayurved, homeopath,
Unani.
Yeah. So what is a high risk contact? What is the low risk contact? What is the preventive measures? So many things are given. Sir, अपने बच्चे ने स्टार्ट किया, एक छोटा सा AI एंड एक्सपर्ट सिस्टम यूज करके एप्लीकेशन बना दिया कि सभी का कंपाइल करके आपको इट विल बी ऑन योर फिंगर टिप्स, व्हिच इज समथिंग वेल प्रिस्क्राइब्ड बाय this and can be converted into the vernacular language. In Valsad, everyone is not habitual to read this English textbook, sir.
That's true. That's true.
Yes. तो हम लोग उसको, बच्चों के पास भी मोबाइल है, हम छोटा सा ऐप बना दिया, उसके अंदर एक एक्सपर्ट सिस्टम का सर सेल डाल दिया एंड प्रेडिक्शन कर दिया कि आपको क्या है, व्हाट आर आपको, और उसमें सर इट इज देयर इज नो नीड ऑफ एनी मेडिकल एक्सपर्टाइज, इट इज अ वेल डिफाइंड. हमने उसको कंपाइल किया और कंपाइल करके उसको कैसे यूज किया जाए. आयुर्वेदिक क्या कहता है आपको, इफ यू वांट टू बिल्ड योर इम्यूनिटी, योगा का भी सर इम्यूनिटी में बहुत अच्छा योगदान है कि आपको ये योगा कितनी मिनट करना चाहिए. सो विद ऑडियो, वीडियो एंड टेक्स्ट, व्हाट इज गिवन इनटू इट, वी कंपाइल एंड पुट इट अप. इट कैन बी considered as undergraduate projects. So it
yes,
was
in fact, this is so coincidental. I just interviewed Dr. Bharat Shah and Dr. Urvisha Asher at the Nisargopchar Kendra in Baroda, which is one of the premier ones in the state of Gujarat. And they are trying to do exactly that, to give recommendations on how to do immunity boosting. And they sat down and literally did some of these things manually. So I will inform them about the effort your students have been doing. So,
sir, I have only based on that Ayush Mantralaya guideline booklet.
Exactly.
If it is under development, sir, I can just share that screenshot of that application. But if somewhere, if they also I can get opportunity to take some help from them, I can make it something on their name. It is something my students are doing.
You will combine the best expertise in medicine with the best expertise in AI. That will be a win-win. And another thing I want to mention, I interviewed recently Dr. Esther Wachitsky, and she has 3 daughters. One of them got married to one of the founders of Google, and another one is the head of YouTube, and the third one is a pediatrician, and she has written a book about education, and she talks about her book. She has written multiple books. One of them is about education, and another is about parenting, how to parent successful children, how to grow up successful people. And what she says is exactly what you're doing, which is she says that in her class, she only gives 15-20 minutes of lectures in high school. And then another half an hour, 45 minutes, the students do their own project. and they select their project. They select what is useful for them based on the current needs. The whole class or maybe small parts of the class will select their own project, and they remember it lifelong because it changed their attitude towards learning. It changed their attitude towards education. So I'm going to introduce Dr. Esther Wichitsky to you because she was asking me, would India and schools and colleges in India benefit from her work? I said, absolutely, and I'll find the right person for you. So you're already in that direction to give student-directed
Sir,
projects, and
and
students
I
decide
have
how to do
huge,
it. Sorry.
sir, it will be really useful because what is in my mind कि something should be in a very simplest way, sir. जो एकदम
Yes.
simple होता है, तो उसमें sir there was a great use of which I put in learn after several years. My doctorate was in using artificial intelligence in application in
Yes.
structural engineering. But today, using this all machine learning toolkits, it becomes so simple, and if we can club this, would be really wonderful.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, also, as you know, at IIT Bombay, they have this e-yantra. Dr. Kavi Arya is the head of e-yantra, and they're also trying to get people to use more robotics, AI, machine learning, and it involves multiple branches, not just electronics, not just mechanical, but also cognition, human-computer interfacing, business aspects. So a lot of artistic, how to make it elegant. So many departments can come together to create projects. And I'm very optimistic. I'm very excited. Actually, when I started interviewing you, I wasn't even thinking along these lines. But it's such a beautiful thing that you are putting together something which is very original and which gets students excited, particularly during times like pandemic, where you cannot just keep bombarding them with information. You have to get them interested in topics that are of interest to them. I'm glad you're doing all these things, sir.
It is
So,
half of the work is done for on this Ayush guideline, but I want to make some intervention in different way that, as I told, even how it can be used in a vernacular language. At present, is in English only. Then how somewhere someone want to listen only. So यही सब चीज को किसी से वीडियो इनपुट करा देना है कि if you are this kind, every time to scroll and to read is also difficult. You simply put a finger, you can given the verbatim in the Gujarati or in Hindi or in English what is given. कि सर उसमें इतना तक है कि I am not getting, I have to improve the sleep. I have to improve the sleep. There is a very good suggestions given by Ayush Mantralaya. I want to reduce the stress. So which are reducing stress के लिए योगा क्या कहता है, आयुर्वेदिक क्या कहता है, होम्योपैथी क्या कहता है. So this all to put up in a sequential mode.
yeah. To really make it useful, depending on the need, people can find different viewpoints and have a holistic approach towards health. Well, I'm so excited about the possibilities, and isn't it interesting? Because of the need, this pandemic has literally created new opportunities, and I'm so glad in Valsad, all your students are you able to do that and put their time to a very good use, and it's so timely. So, what do you see the future of education? Uh, Hopefully, within a year, we'll go back to school and all that. Do you see this kind of method of getting students do their own projects? Do you think it'll grow? And will the education ministry be happy about adopting these kinds of? There's a new education program that just got released, right? NEP. Are those kinds of things included in it? Student directed education?
Sir, true, sir. Actually, we are simply, I can say, we are on a transition phase. And new education policy started when Honorable Minister for Education, that I forget her name, uh, uh, Smriti Irani madam was
Oh, Smriti
the education,
Irani. Yes, yes, yes.
and she came once in Gujarat during those days, and she asked to get some scenario of education, and she wanted to listen from some state level officer. I was fortunate to present the state level scenario to madam for about 1 hour, and there were so many great things were discussed. And it was during her time they started writing this new policy, and somewhere sir we also were involved in giving some preparation in administrative level at the state of Gujarat. It is sir the beginning era for the new education. It is mostly depend on autonomy rather than autocracy. We are at present not turned totally on active learning mode. We are still we are only on teacher centric mode. Our country, our state, our colleges have not observed what exactly the ALM. So we want that to implement. We want our institute to have autonomy. That was one of the envisaged outcome of technical education quality improvement program, autonomy with accountability. So many my friends, my students are abroad, they are in the universities and all. What they say that our approach to make student graduate only if they are employable. Still we don't let them to pass. And it is the role of the teacher that students should complete their career academic success during this stipulated time. So these two things are missing here. We don't bother if some students are getting paid. There is nothing much coming on us. These students do itne sare fail ho rahe hain. And whether they are employing, unemployed, that also mostly we are not then connect with the students once they pass out. Here it is, there is a connect कि आपका स्टूडेंट को कैसे ही इनको how we make them. सर इतनी बड़ी जिम्मेदारी है, इतनी बड़ी जिम्मेदारी है. That is why our salaries are equivalent to the secretaries. Our salaries are government are so much generous to give salary to the higher education teachers, highest in the scale. So it is not less than 12-14 hours a day working by all the teachers which is required, and it can happen in this democracy. There is some accountability. So there is good level degree of accountability is there in this new education policy, and some sort of I could say the academic autonomy. Here we have lots of constraint somewhere in deciding some academic freedom, and it is necessary also. Sometimes if there is no accountability, then this freedom cannot be given. So it will be practiced in coming days, and I am seeing the future of Indian education system quite bright. What we all deprive of seeing the brain drain, including you, sir. So if we'll be able to make them to stay at our country, I think no one can defeat us. As you are all aware, आपने तो पूरी दुनिया देखी है, हम लोग तो गुजरात से बाहर ज़्यादा कहीं गए नहीं है. But that is sure, if we will take this opportunity on our shoulder कि हम लोग हमको ये पूरी जनरेशन को तैयार करना है, हमको थोड़ा उसमें ईश्वर ने सपोर्ट कर दिया, तो सर मुझे लगता है कि nothing would be difficult to make India that progressive that what today USA or other developed countries are.
In fact, I completely agree with you, sir. When I left India in 1987, it was because there were no jobs in the computer industry. We were trained in something that could not be utilized in India. My first job was Tata Consultancy Services, but there was not enough demand inside the country, and we had some very well trained computer scientists, we had electronics engineers, we had all kinds of things. And the net result was that, as you say, brain drain. We ended up in many institutions around the world. Many of us, you know, the reality today, the CEO of Google and the CEO of Microsoft are supplied by India today, which means
Yes.
that it is not a question of talent. We have plenty of talent. I'm not saying every talented person is in India. What I'm saying is we have talent, but we so far have not been able to utilize it. And the result is that many other countries, including the United States, Western Europe, Australia, New Zealand, have been able to utilize it. Germany, you know, many countries. Uh, if this program works, even if it works partially, then many more opportunities will get created. And that can change the whole economy. I know that China has succeeded to a large extent in creating opportunities for its opportunities for its citizen, and they have one of the fastest computers in the world, competing with IBM. In fact, and there are times when the Chinese supercomputer is faster than any other. So it is entirely possible with a brilliant, we have half the countries under the age of 25 in India. We have about 600 plus million people, definitely under the age of 28 or so. So there is no shortage of people. There is a shortage of willpower, if you will, or the thinking towards self-reliance. Any attempt will benefit, and I will be happy to participate with colleges like yours and institutions like yours to guide students. And I know hundreds of my classmates and friends from around the world will be happy to participate in certain ways. And now with Zoom, with social media, we can do it even more. So this is very encouraging, sir. I'm very excited about the possibilities. Do you have any suggestions on how our own talent, our own people around the world can directly guide students and help your students or students around India? Do you have any suggestions? Because you have seen things
Sir,
at a macro level.
I was just about to say on your this last sentences. Sir, can you may even not think that if you have something to handhold with our students, what would be the kind of their feelings? I understand because I am just staying with them. इन लोगों को कभी ऐसा पता चले कि हम लोगों को ये हिसाब से कुछ मेंटरिंग मिल भी सकता है. Somewhere your suggestion, somewhere your idea, it will sir bring lots of change. I could just tell you. आपका सर हम लोग students को there are about 5,000 projects submitting every year at master degree level and around 25,000 projects getting submitted at undergraduate level in the state of Gujarat. Students are making these projects as a 1 year whole study as one credit subject. If we can sir make something, what I am thinking sir, reply to your suggestion is that if we can make something that basket of some good problem statement or topics or somewhere, and students can also put it up them into it, and if we can mentor them sir, if we can make some platform.
Yes, it is
What are the
definitely
opportunities,
possible.
what we can do, because you have seen the world and they have not seen a place out of Valsad. So your two sentences can build the life. मुझे सर पता है कि मैं कभी देखा नहीं था कि what is artificial intelligence, मैंने सुना भी नहीं था. It was Dr. Trivedi called me that there is one conference in Nirma and Dr. A.S. Pandya from Florida Atlantic University, USA, he came and what he was talking was going out of my head. I was not able to understand what he's saying.
Yeah.
But something which I learned that there is something artificial neural network which can be imitates the human brain. So it was the cause make me to draw my attention from normal looking towards the topic for the research. I started thinking ये भी हो सकता है. Is there any? There was no internet, even there was no computers. In 90s, there was no computer. It was just beginning. In LD Engineering College, we had only 2 computers in my department. Both are of that floppy, 360 KB floppy. We have to put one boot up floppy in the upper drive, 1.2 MB wali jo aati thi size. Usme the size of that floppy was 360 KB. 360 KB की दो floppy से हम लोगों ने चालू किया था in LD Engineering College. And those days, we were told that there is something neural network and C++ programming. We used to teach C++, Turbo C, and Fortran, Lay Fortran, Basic, and all. But this was the beginning. Make ourselves. हम लोगों को तो लाइफ है कि हमको किसी ने बताया, डॉक्टर त्रिवेदी जैसे हम एलडी में अहमदाबाद में बैठे थे स्कूल में हमको मिले, वलसाड में तो सर ऐसा पॉसिबल ही नहीं है. And but now today is this such platform is available. We can sir make something very very innovative, which can really become the great opportunity for the students simply to develop their projects. Nothing to put you or anyone, those who are helping the institute, into any level of difficulties. But your word of wisdom somewhere कि यहाँ मैं हूँ, आप लोग कुछ करते हो तो somewhere I can throw some light on you would be the great miracle. सर आपको पता भी नहीं चलेगा कितने लोगों की, कितने बच्चों की कैरियर बन गई. अभी फ्लोरिडा वाले प्रोफेसर को पता भी नहीं होगा कि he has made the doctorate in artificial intelligence और उसमें अभी आगे तो क्या-क्या हुआ है वो तो सर एक there is a big story.
You must definitely write to him, Dr. Pandya, you said, right? You must write at least one sentence. I did that. The person who was a big influence on me in 1986 was a professor at Louisiana State University. I think I remember Professor Subhash Kak, and he was talking about studying Aryabhatta algorithm, which was similar to Chinese remainder theorem. And what was interesting was that a lot of like coding theory, information theory principles were there, in theory were there in ancient India, just like they were there in ancient China. So I wrote to him and he responded and it changed my life. I got into information theory and I actually studied AI and all that. So I can fully understand, but I actually wrote to him, thanked him much later, saying because of you, I got into this field and it changed my life. So speaking of which, there are easy ways of actually doing what you're saying. I was involved in an initiative called MentorNet. This was even using early stage of the internet about 15, 20 years ago in San Francisco. Started by Stanford and Santa Clara University and others, primarily for women, young women who are not as much into STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and management. So to support women getting into science and technology, they started an online network where both men and women, any mentor could apply, and they matched the mentors with students. So I was one of them because my mother always wanted to do real technical work, but she did not get a chance. This is my mother was 20 years older than me, so she never got a chance to study further and get into it. So I became a mentor and I had about 10 students online. This is, I'm talking about 15 or 20 years, early 2000s, 2005, 2007. So I had more than 10 students online and I used to help them. So today the technology is far more sophisticated. So you can actually create like an online marketplace where students can select mentors and mentors can select students. And there are many ways of matching. I don't remember which ones, but there are many ways of matching students' interests and mentors' interests. And because there are literally thousands of people, not just people from India, but people from around the world who like to mentor, it is entirely possible to create that matching network or use an existing matching network. We'll talk about that offline, but I'm very optimistic about your idea. And it doesn't have to be a huge amount of work because students are already doing projects. If they have a 1-year project, they need guidance maybe once, 2 hours in a month. 2 hours in a month can make or break difference to students who are interested in furthering that and looking at the latest in technology. You can share with them today. We can share with them websites. You can share with them Wikipedia pages. You can share with them Coursera classes. You can share MOOCs. So we don't have to literally sit down and educate each student. But today it is entirely possible to give online education and guidance as to why should they study, what to study, how to study, and how to apply. So a lot is possible. And I'm great, and I'm so glad we are talking about all these things because I think the pandemic has really pushed us to think about how we can use all these automated technologies and student driven interests in order to further education. And I'm going to take this as my homework to find out and come back to you as to what is possible. So I'm glad that
It's
somebody
so
has given
great.
me a homework. So, do you have any other suggestions to tell people? A lot of
Yes, sir.
people,
Actually,
because of the pandemic, have lost interest, especially among
mhm.
students. A lot of people are worried about future jobs. People are worried about their health. People are worried about, there's so much anxiety among both students, parents, and older people who have serious health issues and all that. Do you have any suggestions? I asked that question to your mentor, Dr. Trivedi,
Yes,
also. So
yes.
what would you say?
Actually, sir, that is what we every time I am thinking of that. Yes, just you told. If something what we think for, I am sir looking across the cross section of the society. There is a great impact happened, sir. It happened in such a way that though it is not reflected, sir, we have seen those Shramik people to go to their villages, their native places. So almost all industries, they have not yet returned back. Industries are running with some sort of deprived manpower and all. But there, sir, it is a lower level, means liberal level. But those who
Yes.
are sir, middle class is having great impact of this pandemic. Their earning component becomes significantly less. It becomes or बहुत सारे sir, and once they are staying in the fearful mindset, कि now it may happen to anyone in the family. And today, if at all someone can get feeling of fear, और अभी मुझे ताव बुखार जैसा लगता है कि some nose is leaking, so it is there is a great fear in that mind. और इनकम तो सर बहुत कम हो गया है. मैं देख रहा हूँ सबका स्टूडेंट से बात भी कर रहा हूँ कि व्हाट इज हैपनिंग, आपके फैमिली में कौन कौन कमा रहे थे, क्या हो रहा है, कैसे जा रहे हो. सो 80-90% आर प्राइवेट प्लेसमेंट पीपल. ज्यादातर गवर्नमेंट जॉब तो इट इज लेस देन 5%. 80% employed in the private sector and others are somewhere self-employed. That is what the statistic largely. So there is a significant shortage in the home income, and in that point, it is, say, you must be seeing that people even hesitating for paying the tuition fee in the private schools
Very
today.
true.
That is what
Very
is the
true.
scenario today. See, in our government, we don't charge anything. It is only 100 rupees a month, something of that. Girls are totally free, but self-finance. So, in this era, I was just saying yesterday, sir, that new show started by, again, after this long break, this Kapil Sharma show. That Sudhu Sood episode was there yesterday. So, he became the person useful to the lakhs of the people. लाखों लोगों को इतने काम में आया, तो उसको मुझे देख के लगा कि ये तो एक फिल्म का किरदार निभाता है. उसने बताया कि it was one of the best किरदार I ever played, कि मैं 3 महीने में लोगों के काम में आया. अब सर, हम लोग तो ऐसे काम में तो नहीं आ सकते कि हम चलो किसी को खाना खिलाने के लिए जाए या किसी को घर पहुंचाए या वो करे. हमारा जो रोल है उसमें अब सर it is something totally change of the job pattern. नया जॉब के क्लासिक जॉब सब क्लोज हो रहे हैं और नए जॉब आ रहे हैं. हम सब वो आइडेंटिफाई करें. If you can help me in identifying the new job areas वेयर बिकॉज मुझे मेरे 2000 बच्चों को मुझे वही दिखाना है भाई, अब आप बड़े होके कोई कंपनी में नौकरी करने के लिए जाओ, कंपनी ही पूरा अलग तरीके से ऑटोमेशन में जा रहे हैं, या इफ दे आर डूइंग समथिंग टोटली डिफरेंट, वर्क फ्रॉम होम है, तो वर्क फ्रॉम होम इज एडॉप्टेड बाय मेनी कंपनीज। बाकी सब कंपनीज का भी सर अभी लोगों को छूटा कर दिया है, बहुत सारे हमारे भी दो लोगों को बोला दिया अब से तो कल से नहीं आना है। कंपनी जो छोटी मोटी चल रही थी उन लोगों ने शायद आधे लोगों से काम चलाना चालू कर दिया। तो विच आर द न्यू जॉब सेक्टर्स आर इनविसेस, हर एक ब्रांच ऑफ इंजीनियरिंग में, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में है, या प्रोसेसिंग में है, या कोई भी सेक्टर में। सो मैं सोच रहा हूं सर कि मैं एक लिस्ट बनाऊं कि जिसमें बताया जाए कि ये न्यू जॉब सेक्टर बन रहा है, आप कुछ ऐसा कुछ इनोवेशन करके आप कुछ ऐसा बनाओ। मुझे सर एक आदमी ने एग्जांपल दिया है, मैं भी उसके अंदर एक काम करने का भी चालू कि समथिंग हमारे सर यहाँ पर अपने इंडिया में वो जो दाल बनती है ना, दाल फ्राई बनती है, आप जानते, वी आर ईटिंग दाल फ्राई। तो वो दाल फ्राई इज अ सिंपल थिंग, लेकिन एक गुजराती में कहावत है कि इसकी दाल बिगड़ी उसका दिन बगड़ा। तो उसमें सर मुझे किसी ने बताया कि आप उसके अंदर ऑटोमेशन कीजिए। अमेरिका में कुछ ऐसा बनाए कि which can totally automate the process and simply by fingertips you can decide which kind of दाल आपको खानी है और you can get served by your own। दूसरा सर एक ऐसा है कि instead of making that electrical washing machine we can make manual by using mechanical advantage, and that washing machine can make uh, 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 spinning of the drum equally faster than electric drum with some manual mechanical advantage. Something, some small such kind of projects if we can develop, we can show, मतलब ऐसा बताना है आप ऐसा कर सकते हो कि आप गांव में जाना है तो गांव में इलेक्ट्रिसिटी भी अब इश्यू नहीं है, बट विदाउट इलेक्ट्रिसिटी हाउ यू कैन मेक इट टू सिंपली use this kind of speed which can make spinning 10 times more than that. So these are all how the water conservation से लेकर तो ऐसे ऐसे सर थोड़े लिस्ट बना रहे हैं कि which are those areas where students work। आपको मान लो मैकेनिकल इंजीनियर बने, मैकेनिकल इंजीनियर बन के आपको वहां पर जाके कुछ मिलने वाला नहीं है। आप एनवायरमेंट इंजीनियर बने, आप एनवायरमेंट इंजीनियर बन के आप ऐसा करोगे तो आपको ये एनवायरमेंट सेक्टर में आपको ज्यादा जॉब मिल सकती है। तो मैं सर जितना भी मेरा टाइम जहां भी मिलता है मैं वही देखता हूँ कि ये क्या मिलता है, इलेक्ट्रिकल में क्या नया हो सकता है, मैकेनिकल में क्या नया हो सकता है, केमिकल में क्या नया हो सकता है। अभी H2S गैस हम इंडिया में बनाते ही नहीं है, मुझे भी पता चला। There is no one is making H2S in our country and we are importing it from across the world। मुझे फिर बताया गया कि बनाने का तो छोड़ो, हम उसको रिफाइन भी नहीं कर सकते हैं। If you want to make a filtering of the H2S गैस, तो वो भी बनाने जाते हैं तो उसके अंदर वाटर कंपोनेंट रह जाता है, वो रह जाता है, एंड H2S is used largely in the chemical sector। तो ऐसी छोटी छोटी चीज है कि हम उसको, हाँ उसका पैच वर्क बाकी है, वो पैच वर्क सर हमको मिल जाए। मान लो हम ये टेक्नोलॉजी तो चाइना ने इतना पकड़ लिया है कि हम लोग इतनी बड़ी बड़ी वो नहीं बना पाएंगे कि माइक्रो चिप्स और ये सब की जो उसको बनाए, बट समथिंग व्हिच कैन बी यूजफुल। एक सर जो फ्लोर मिल है, फ्लोर मिल, मेरा एक मैकेनिकल क्लासमेट था, उसने अहमदाबाद में फ्लोर मिल बनाई है। इट इज स्मॉल साइज, वो दाना पीसती है गेहूं का और दाल चावल का सबका, और अमेरिका में 60,000 पीस उसने अक्रॉस द वर्ल्ड उसने एक्सपोर्ट किया है। तो ऐसे आपको बता रहे, छोटी सी बताए, मेरा सर एक स्टूडेंट ने मेरे लिए स्टैंड बनाया, मोबाइल हैंगर। मैं आपको बताऊं कि एक मोबाइल हैंगर था, मैं आपको बताता हूं। So it was a small stand, sir. I purchased 2 stand online which all broken। वो फाइबर का था, ऐसा था वैसा था, वो टूट गया और कुछ काम में नहीं आया। अब ये जो स्टैंड वो बच्चे ने मुझे बना के दिया वर्कशॉप में, सर वो 100 रुपए से कम मटेरियल में बना है और इट इज सो दिल्ली वो तो मैंने बताया ये प्रोडक्ट हम हमारे कॉलेज की उसके ऊपर नहीं रख सकते कि ये प्रोडक्ट है जिसको लेना हो मैं 120 रुपया में दूंगा बस ओनली 120 रुपीज जो 100 रुपया भी उसकी कॉस्ट नहीं है तो 20 रुपया तो उसको मिल सकता है तो ऐसी सर और इट इज मेड अप ऑफ टोटली मेटल लाइफ टाइम वारंटी उसका वेट कभी टूटने और उसने मेरे वर्कशॉप में गया वर्कशॉप में रॉड लिया नीचे प्लेट रखा और उसके ऊपर इतना एडजस्टेबल वो रखा कि मुझे मोबाइल जस्ट इट इज फ्रंट ऑफ मी मेरे टेबल पे रख दिया कि सर आपको मोबाइल नीचे रखते हो तो आपका मुंह नीचे दिखता है ऐसा रखते हो तो ऐसा हाथ में पकड़े रखना है मैं ऐसा बैठ के बिल्कुल आई टू आई मैं मोबाइल उसके सामने कर सकता हूँ So this is something ऐसे सर स्मॉल चीज बना के भी हम बड़े बन सकते हैं तो वो मुझे उनको बताना है कि ऐसे क्या क्या आप बनाया जाए आप छोड़ दो कि आपको कोई जॉब में लेगा और आपको जॉब लेगी आपका 8 घंटे या 10 घंटे आपका यूज करके फिर आपको तनख्वाह देगा फॉरगेट दिस आपको लेना है 10 बार कंपनी डिलीवरी आई भी आपको मुझे चाहिए तुम आओ वो नहीं आता है तो आप कुछ भी छोटा सा बना के आपको ये नहीं आता है आप कोई भी प्रोग्राम बनाओ या कोई आपका कुछ गिटार आपको आती है अब गिटार का फर्स्ट क्लास माय वाइफ इज टेकिंग ऑनलाइन कोर्स फॉर म्यूजिक वी आर पेइंग तो कोई बच्चे को गिटार आता है तो उसको गिटार का कोर्स को कैसे सेलेबल करना है वो सब हम को करना है कि सर दैट इफ अवर इंडियन यूथ बिकम सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयड मोर अभी सर हम लोग सब कुछ इंक्लूडिंग वी व्हेन वी स्टार्टेड वर्किंग किसी ने कॉन्फिडेंस नहीं भरा था कि आप कर सकते हो पेरेंट्स भी नहीं भरते हैं सर कि अब उसको कहाँ जॉब मिलता है बेटा बड़ा होता है तभी उसको बोलते हैं कहाँ जॉब करता है ये जॉब वाला कल्चर को निकाल के मुझे जॉब नहीं चाहिए मैं खुद यही करूंगा और मुझे किसी की गुलामी नहीं करना है मैं कम कमाऊंगा तो कम चलेगा वो कॉन्सेप्ट में सर हम कुछ करेंगे तो उसका बच्चों का तो सर ब्राइटनेस कुछ कम है ही नहीं
Yes, there is no question about that. आप जो बोल रहे हो, the biggest difference I have seen between like the job culture we have in India and say certain areas of the world, like certain areas of America or many other countries, is self-reliance. I'll do something on my own, or I'll produce something like you're saying, a drug intermediate or a chemical reagent, or in my case, I'll provide services or things that electronics companies can use, things that biotech companies can use, software. So there are so many, it's a whole value chain. It is not even
sir
necessary that
we
we
are
have
a
to create a
huge
final
consumer
product. There are so
we
many
are great
intermediate
our
products
consumer
too. Yeah, please go ahead.
we are a big consumer so we don't have to look for the market we are already a market
Huge
in
market,
place
1.3 billion people. So market is not even a problem. And what is interesting is also over the last 20 years or so, aspirations have gone up. So it's not like people are happy with just getting, everybody wants a smartphone, whoever can afford it. They would love to use better and smarter products, not just in computers, but also in healthcare. They want to, like whether it's a yoga mat. So the need is there. And I'm not just talking consumable goods, but also services. There's a need for services. People now want to learn music, which wasn't there at our time. At our time, we were happy to just go to school. But now people want to learn music, they want to learn dance, they want to learn different forms of yoga. So the need for products and services is actually high. And a lot of that can be supplied with each other, creating a beautiful circular economy where we don't have to always import things. Right now, we are importing too many things and we are dependent on foreign products, foreign everything. One of my students, I am an entrepreneur coach at MICA, Mudra Institute of Communication. It's called MICA in Ahmedabad. One of my students did a project last year on reviving indigenous languages, because besides the 30 languages that are there on our rupee note, there are 30 languages, statutory languages. There are thousands of languages. States like Uttarakhand, for example, there's Gadwali, there's Kumaoni, and they're very distinct cultures. It is, of course, everybody can speak Hindi, that's not the problem. But there are local cultures which will get lost. In Gujarat itself, there's the Kathiawadi, you know, there's
yes
Wagdi in northern Gujarat. So there are many, there are dance forms, for example. It is not just Garba, but there are these Bhilwada na Garba. There is the Kathiawadi, different. There's Dhakla. There are so many different music, dance, cultural forms, as you know, recipes. So there is a big need for actually promoting indigenous cultures, indigenous arts, also to create and productize them and to make it available largely. We can do so much for ourselves. We don't even need foreign markets all the time. As you said, we have a huge population base and aspirations have gone up. So we don't even have
Yes.
to look for outside markets all the time. China is doing that very successfully. There is an export market which they have tapped into, but the internal market is also very large. So thank you for getting all these ideas. I feel like I have a lot of homework to do now. You are very good at inspiring people. I'm so glad we talked about so many different things. I can see that even if some of these ideas are put into action, it will revolutionize education, it will revolutionize employability, it will also revolutionize the way we think about work. And that will be a wonder. That will be an absolutely wonderful thing for India and the world at large. So to those who are listening, if anybody wants to get in touch with you, what would be the best way? Is there a website or is there any place where they can find you?
Sir, I am fine if WhatsApp. If someone, I have to remain very active on WhatsApp because many of our government work we depend on our through WhatsApp connection. Of course, with my web portal, which we have a very interactive web portal and email connection, which is there. And I'm just thinking in a different way that how I can make something association of you with our institutes. So far, it's a, a benefit for the students I can see. So that is also, sir, I'm thinking of that कि आपका मैं कैसे how I can make you, because it is, sir, something totally I'm near about to search it out कि हम ऐसा क्या करें कि थोड़ा एकदम big change आए.
To connect
Normal
all
ऐसा कुछ
this.
करके दो lecture ले लिया, ऐसा कुछ something which really tangible outcome आए उसके अंदर से we
Lasting
can
outcome.
bring.
Yeah, long term
Yes,
and
sir.
lasting outcome. We will
Yes.
definitely brainstorm on it much more. And I know you are totally dedicated to the cause of not just education, but employability, entrepreneurship, and finding ways of literally bringing that awareness, day-to-day awareness in people and in students. So I am very much aligned with that. In fact, there are people I know in Baroda and in other parts of India, like Dr. J.C. Shukla, who is from IIM Ahmedabad, who is very dedicated to employability. So we will create some kind of a WhatsApp group to discuss these things further because there's a big need
Sure,
and
sure.
it'll be good use of our time. It won't be just a one-time effort here, one class here, one class there, but how can we do this on a long-term basis? How can we change the definition of of titles? What kind of work do we do? Right now we are defining work as narrowly finding a job, and how many jobs can the government create? It is not realistic. But if we can change the way we define work itself, how we can create work for each other and support each other, that will change the whole landscape. So I'm very glad we are talking about it. And to those who are listening, if you have any suggestions, we will provide ways in which you can connect with us. And I'm excited about the possibilities. So what an auspicious time, Raksha Bandhan, and it's for many
Yes,
people,
it
it's a
is. It
new
is a
way of
really
thinking in
great
education.
day.
And thank you again. And please stay in touch. Please stay in touch for you as well as for anybody who is here. If you have any suggestions on how we can change the educational landscape, employability landscape, and entrepreneurial, please connect with us. And we are looking at how to bring that to every small village, every town in India. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. It was really a great day today. I will remember this. We'll have this conversation with us for rest of the life. And wherever possible, whosoever, sir, you have a big cross section across the world, and will definitely put. This is what, sir. It gives me a real pleasure. It gives me really a real pleasure from doing this, and will definitely be in contact with each other, and wherever I'm sure that will be able to associate with me whenever I'm in need. Thank you so much, sir, to take
Vinayji,
this,
when we
give me
started
this
this
opportunity.
conversation, when we started this
Yeah.
conversation, I had no idea we were going to incubate something as interesting and big as this. And the timing is perfect. So I'm excited. I'll find a way to come and meet with you. Even in this pandemic, I'm sure it is possible to meet with social distancing safely and definitely on Zoom, and find a way that we can create some kind of a WhatsApp group, a group of people who are dedicated to this cause, and we'll make it happen.
Yes.
Thank you all, and please stay in touch.